recaptured this afternoon. According to the U.S. Marshal's Office, Antoine Massey, who has been known for making social media posts as he's been on the run, he was one of the 10 inmates who escaped from the Orleans Justice Center several weeks ago now. He and Derek Groves were the only two remaining still on the run. But this afternoon, we have learned at WWL Louisiana that Antoine Massey has been recaptured. We just got off the phone moments ago with the U.S. Marshal's Office. They confirmed to us here at WWL Louisiana that he is, in fact, back in custody, that he was taken back into custody in the Holly Grove neighborhood. And investigative reporter Mike Pearlstein is joining me on the set this afternoon. You just got off the phone with them. Tell me what else you know. This happened in Holly Grove, as I mentioned?
Right, in the 9400 block of Strolitz, not far from the Costco on the way to Metairie Road. This was all within the past hour, so this is very fresh news and information. Antoine Massey was found inside of a residence. He was alone. According to Brian Fair of the U.S. Marshal Service, he was captured without incident. In fact, he gave himself up once surrounded by law enforcement. This actually came from a Crime Stoppers tip, Katie. So we know that a $50,000 reward had been offered for some weeks now. They had been waiting on tips, in fact, pursuing some of them unsuccessfully until today. This tip panned out. Somebody will be collecting $50,000. It came through Crime Stoppers. Other agencies involved, the U.S. Marshals were kind of leading the search, but instrumental and at this residence were representatives of the New Orleans Police Department, Louisiana State Police, U.S. Marshals, of course, along with JPSO, not far from the Jefferson Parish border.
That's right on the line.
They assisted. Obviously, they were taking, no chances or risks with these. This particular escaped inmate being considered potentially armed, potentially dangerous, but it ended peacefully. He's now back in custody. Obviously, he'll be facing a charge of escape in addition to the previous charges for which he was being held at the Orleans Justice Center of domestic violence that included rape.
Yes, absolutely.
And you knew once they started to put the actual amounts and they started to raise it to over 50,000 for every single, for the person that actually created the tip that led to their arrest, that it was over. But he was already advocating for different rappers and celebrities to come and try to assist him and help him with his defense, and that he's saying that he wasn't guilty for being locked up in the first place, but that's not going to go nowhere. Once he actually escaped custody, which I was surprised because he evaded capture, if I'm not mistaken, for well over a month now. As a matter of fact, he actually spent his free time, and he was actually able to spend his birthday, technically, quote unquote, a free man, but he was a fugitive. But the fact that he was able to evade capture for that long, it speaks volumes. But here's a question that we got to ask ourselves, and of course I'm going to stay on top of this, and as we learn more details, I'll continue to bring it to you guys. But this is the thing that we have to ask ourselves. Who else helped him? Whose house was he in? Because one of the things that they said is that they were going to continue to prosecute any and everybody that gave even a remote level of assistance to any of these guys to help them stay free. People's girlfriends, mothers, grandmothers, all of them have been prosecuted and been arrested. And so that's the question that you got to ask yourself. Whose house was he in? Who dropped the tip? Was it the person whose house he was in dropped the tip so that they can collect the $50,000? And then also Derek Groves. So Antoine Massey was probably the most visible and notorious. Derek Groves' recent girlfriend actually got arrested. And the question that you have to ask yourself now is, where is Derek Groves? Because there's still one left. And this is really embarrassing for Louisiana and the warden, the sheriffs, and everybody that's involved in it. And of course, there's going to continue to be a manhunt underway. If it's me in particular, I'm not even sure that I'm trying to figure out how to get from out of the country completely into a place that don't have any extradition back to the United States of America. But I don't know how you can actually pull that off unless you somehow get a private plane. But, nobody has that type of resources. But the whole conversation just revolves around how long they've been escaped, how many people are going to be embarrassed as a result of it, and who loses their job. once they get the final inmate, if they get the final inmate at all.
Now, this area that we were looking at on your screen, this is a map where that house is, where Antoine Massey, one of the Orleans Justice Center escapees, was taken back into custody. If you're just joining us, that happened just a few moments ago. This area is really not too far from Xavier University's campus, which may be a bit unnerving for some parents out there who may be watching this, to know that Antoine Massey was hiding out in a house right there, not that far from the Costco, where a lot of people frequent. You know, hundreds, thousands of people go through that Costco every day. And apparently Antoine Massey did not get far when they escaped from the Orleans Justice Center, and remember, all 10 of them.
You know, it was kind of assumed in the case of Antoine Massey in particular that he may not have gone far. We saw that previously he posted a video of himself on social media that was identified as a house near the fairgrounds, which was promptly descended upon by the law enforcement agencies. He had not been there, so assumed that whenever he videotaped that, it was sometime earlier before he posted it. But that gave them an idea that he probably had not fled across state lines or anything further. What is interesting, we've seen in many of these other escapees, accomplices arrested, booked with accessory to the escape. Right now, no such other people known to be involved in helping him, assisting him. Nobody was at that house in that Holly Grove area when they descended upon it to make that arrest. He gave himself up peacefully. Now, of course, we'll see once they debrief Antoine Massey if he provides any additional information. He was considered, Katie, one of the masterminds of the escape.
We learned that, yes, through the fact that they've arrested several other people.
He actually said that the person that let him out, they didn't threaten the guy that helped him. He actually was participatory in it, and so that's a whole nother conversation. But I think that the biggest thing that we need to make out of this is never to put yourself in this position in the first place. Obviously, it's not conducive for anybody, and now they're going to focus 100% of their energy on Derrick Groves. I don't think that you're going to hear anything more from him. It was a big thing for a second when he was posting on social media, mainly to highlight how he don't feel like he was supposed to be arrested in the first place and that he wasn't supposed to be in jail. But again, I think that this was more of an embarrassment than anything, and I think that you're not going to hear anything else from him. If you do, I'll probably be the first to interview him and I'll reach out to him. But let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'll keep you guys updated.